Welcome back to Showcase. Today, we're going to be taking a look at Prima Prime, Nexus Prime, Vector Prime, Alchemist Prime, Megatronus Prime, Liege Maximo, Solus Prime, Zeta Prime, Amalgamus Prime, Quintus Prime, Alpha Trion, Micronus Prime, and Onyx Prime, the Transformers 1 13 Primes. But before we get started, big thanks to Zion Lynch and Firelord2047 for requesting this video. If you have any requests, leave them down in the comments, we'll try and get to all of them. For weapons, Prima has a sword, Vector has a sword, Alchemist has his hammer, Megatronus has his trident, Liege Maximo has his swords, Solus has her hammer, Zeta has his axe, Amalgamus has his spear, Onyx has his spear, and Micronus has his mace. Moving on to transformations, starting with Prima. We have flat, head in, cockpit out, arms in, finally legs up, and we have Prima in his spaceship mode. Next, Nexus. We have flat, head in, cockpit out, arms in, legs up, and finally wings out, and we have Nexus in the jet mode. Next, Vector. We have flat, head in, cockpit out, arms in, legs up, finally bring the wing back, and we have Vector in his spaceship mode. Next, Alchemist. We have flat, head in, arms back, legs up, and we have Alchemist in the ship mode. Next up, Megatronus. We have flat, head in, cockpit out, arms in, legs up, and finally bring out his wings, we have Megatronus in his jet mode. Next, Liege Maximo. We have flat, head in, cockpit out, arms in, finally bring up the legs, and we have Liege Maximo in his ship mode. Next, Solus. Layer flat, head in, arms into place, cab out, legs back, and we have Solus in our hovercar mode. Next, Zeta. We have flat, head in, arms in, legs back, and we have Zeta in his ship mode. Next, Amalgamus. We have flat, arms in, bring the head up, legs in, bring the cockpit out, finally bring the wing back to form the roof, and we have Amalgamus in his car mode. And Amalgamus is a triple changer. Bring the head down, cockpit down, and the wing out, and we have Amalgamus in his jet mode. Next, Quintus. Lay flat, head in, use the crown to form the cockpit, legs up, arms back to form the engines, and we have Quintus in his ship mode. Next, Alpha Trion. Lay flat, head in, arms down, beast head out, legs back, and we have Alpha Trion in his beast mode. Next, Micronus. Head in, arms in, legs up, and we have Micronus in his power pack mode. Finally, Onyx. Head down, arms in, legs up, spread the wings, and we have Onyx in his beast mode. Moving on to the lore I've written for them in my series, Siege World. Over our many episodes, we've jumped around the timeline a lot. From eras of war, to eras of peace, to some of the early Cybertronian written history. But today, we're going further back than we've gone before, to the first Cybertronians. Darkness. Cold, cold darkness was all that Prima saw. He didn't know where he was. He didn't know what he was. He sat in the endless darkness for what felt like years. Until he saw a faint light in the darkness. It took all his power to float towards it. He didn't know what it was, if it was like him, if it could think, or if it could see him. But floating next to the light gave him some kind of comfort. As they floated, more lights appeared, one after another, light after light, till there was 13 in total. Prima felt himself growing, expanding, floating higher and higher from the lights. He felt himself growing limbs, first small nubs, then an arm, and a leg. Until finally, he formed a head, and he could see. The lights were gone, everything was shiny and bright, unlike anything he'd seen before. He began wandering, investigating everything he could see, from large mountains to deep caves, taking it all in. And just when he started to miss the lights that had brought him comfort in the darkness, he saw something in the distance. A familiar light emanating from a strange mound of metal. As he investigated, its eyes flickered to life, and for the first time since he awakened, he knew it was like him. Prima helped it to its feet, and for the first time, he spoke. He introduced himself, and after a moment, it introduced itself back, giving the name Vector. For a time, this cycle continued. Every couple of months, a new bot would appear, until there were 13 of them in total, and for years they spent their days exploring and creating. At night, they would stare into the stars, wondering what could be out there, and as they watched, one of their group, Alchemist, started keeping track of the stars. And slowly, he noticed one star seemed to be getting closer, till it was taking up a majority of the sky. This was when Prima heard a voice, one he hadn't heard before, coming from seemingly nowhere. The voice told him of a location deep in a cave, requesting him to bring the 13 there. He convinced the others to go to the cave. Inside, finding a floating orb that introduced itself as Vector Sigma. Vector Sigma explained that he was the voice of Primus, the being that had created them. Primus was one of 3 siblings. Originally, they were beings of energy, but as they drifted through space, they gained form. Primus was content to observe, but his brother, Unicron, wanted more. He wanted to be the universe itself. This conflict led to a great battle, which Primus had won, leaving Unicron defeated, but leaving Primus far too weak to beat Unicron when he inevitably returned. This was why he had created the 13, to defeat Unicron when he returned. Vector Sigma explained that the star they had seen in the sky, slowly getting closer, was Unicron himself. To aid in their battle, Vector Sigma gave each of them a gift. For some, like Prima and Nexus, an artifact with great power, and for others, like Quintus and Amalgamus, special abilities. Prima was gifted the Matrix of Leadership, imbuing him with the power of Primus himself. Nexus, the Combination Matrix, able to combine anything together. Vector, the ability to stop time. Alchemist, the power of great intelligence. Megatronus, the power of great strength, being as strong as Primus himself. Liege Maximo, the power of great charisma, able to talk even the most loyal of Unicron's soldiers down. Solus, the Forge of Solus Prime, a hammer with the ability to create weapons with the power to destroy a planet. Zeta, an axe, able to slice through the toughest armor. Amalgamus, the ability to turn into anything in the blink of an eye. Quintus, the ability to create loyal soldiers from nothing. Alpha Trion, the power of great wisdom, able to come up with strategies to win even the most hopeless of battles. Micronus, the ability to connect and enhance a bot's power. And Onyx, the power of flight. They were also able to grant lesser versions of their power to any other member of the 13. Onyx could give them the ability to fly, or Megatronus could give them strength. They had a little over a year to prepare for Unicron's arrival, and they spent that time training, honing their abilities. The battle with Unicron didn't start with the Chaos Bringer assaulting Cybertron head-on. It started with one single meteor hitting the planet. The 13 investigated the meteor, but it seemed to be nothing special. But as they turned to leave, the meteor transformed and charged towards them. That was a tough battle. The spawn of Unicron was extremely powerful, but in the end, they managed to destroy it. They took a moment to rest, looking up to the sky, only to see hundreds, maybe thousands of Unicron's minions falling to the planet. That was a long and hard fight, but with their gift from Primus, they stood a chance. Their initial strategy was for Quintus to create soldiers, the rest to imbue them with powers, and Alpha Trion to command them in battle. And they were successful for a time, until Unicron's minions attacked Quintus while the others were distracted. Quintus couldn't handle one of Unicron's minions head-on, let alone the small army in front of him, so in the end, he was captured. Unicron had plans for Quintus's ability, but it would take time to create his new army. With their source of soldiers gone, the 13 had to come up with a new plan. Prima, with the help of Alpha Trion, came up with their winning strategy. They would send the remaining forces to attack Unicron's stronghold, while the rest would attack Unicron head-on while his forces were distracted. But when they arrived, they found Unicron wasn't as defenseless as they'd assumed. He had managed to create a small army using Quintus, but they were small in numbers. The 13 had a chance. They charged forward, and after a long battle, just when they thought they had won, Unicron transformed, but in his haste, Quintus was able to break free from his prison inside him and reunite with the 13. Prima heard one last message from Vector Sigma, telling them the only way to defeat Unicron was by combining their power into one attack. The 13 joined together and put everything they had into it, draining them of most of their power. The Forge of Solus Prime snapped in two, and the matrices of leadership and combination shattered. But it was enough to destroy Unicron's body. He wasn't defeated, but it would take millions, if not billions of years for him to reform. They returned to Vector Sigma and were given one last task: to journey with him to the center of Cybertron and use their sparks to ignite the well of all sparks, each handing down their gift to the new life the well would create. Over the many years of Cybertronian history, members of the 13 would reincarnate during Cybertron's darkest hours, sometimes just one, sometimes many of them. But when Unicron returns, the 13 will be there, ready to destroy the Chaos Bringer once and for all. Just like every Cybertronian, upon their death, the 13 appeared on Siege World, but strangely, none of their whereabouts are known. Large groups have formed searching for them, but not a single one has been found. Some think they're in hiding, others think they've taken up new names. Few even think they weren't real at all, but many still search for them, thinking if they find them, they'll find their artifacts and gain their power. and that's the 13 Primes. None of these guys have any recolors, and I don't think I'll be making any. These guys were some of my earliest models, so I don't think they live up to my standards today, but like I've said before, I don't like going back and making remakes of old models. So instead, I'm going to be making the Age of the Primes version of these guys soon. Hope you guys like the lore. I've been trying to step up the writing in these videos for a while. If you liked the video, maybe give it a like, maybe even subscribe, because next time we're going to be taking a look at another request, the Transformers Cybertron Deceptcons.